Yeah, good evening to all the learners and the academic counselor, Dr. Srinivas Rao. I welcome you all for today's MA Economics online academic counseling sessions. Before we start the session, I think there are three students on your video and introduce yourself. Mr. Rakesh, Jaya,
Good evening, sir.
yeah, please over.
I myself Jay Lakshmi, sir, and I am from Srikakulam. Yes, sir.
Okay, then good. Jhansi Rani, Jhansi Rani, yeah, please introduce yourself.
Hello. Hello, good evening, sir. I'm Jhansi Rani from Visakhapatnam.
Okay, then
Myself
Mr.
from
Rakesh.
Visakhapatnam. Yes,
Hmm?
sir. From Visakhapatnam.
Okay, anyhow, we are having the experience. The students first day attending, and after that, attendance is slightly discontinuing. It creates some problem at the regional center level also. If the attendance is not good, we are not going to continue the sessions. That's why we request whatever the students' attendance is today, it should continue till end of this all the sessions. Further, we are recording these sessions and we are uploading in our RC Visakhapatnam YouTube channel. Any one of your friends, if anyone not attended, they can also watch the sessions in our YouTube channel and gain the knowledge. I wish you all the best to all the students, and I thank Dr. Srinivas Rao for accepting our invitation and agreed to take the sessions on emergency basis. And I have contacted him only just yesterday only. Immediately he agreed to take the sessions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you,
please
sir.
go ahead.
Sure, sir. So, at the outset, I would like to introduce myself, my dear learners. So, this is Dr. Srinivas Rao, Faculty of Economics. I have a total 19 years of experience in various levels of teaching, both at the UG and PG level also, engineering and non-engineering. Dr. Krishna Rao, sir, has requested me yesterday to take these classes, online counseling classes for MA Economics, IGNOR Regional Center, Visakhapatnam. Immediately I accepted the SAR's request and SAR's invitation also. So I'm very happy to conduct these classes and conduct these counseling classes for IGNOR students as an approved academic counselor. So I don't want to kill your time by giving much information about me. It's not necessary also. So straight away, I am going to start the class. Of course, you may have an idea about economics. What is economics and what is the importance of economics? You might have already been taught in graduation level also. So I don't want to touch all those things. So directly, I would like to talk about these growth economics. First of all, I would like to say what is the meaning of growth. If it is possible, please try to note on some points while listening to the class. It would be very beneficial and useful to you while you prepare for the examination. Please try to understand and write some important points while listening to the class. Take a notes, running notes. So, what is the meaning of economics? So, actually, the sustained increase, sustained rise in the growth, sustained rise in the economic development is simply called as growth of economics. It should be sustained, continuous growth must be there in any economy, in every economy, and a country or economy can be developed if there is a continuous growth. That means there should not be any distraction, there should not be any gap, because development or growth can be possible if a country continuously increasing its growth rate, continuously increasing the rate of the growth rate of the particular economy or rate of growth rate of particular a country. So an economy can be developed with the availability of the resources. The resources availability is very important. A country can be developed by availing and using and consuming the resources which are available, whichever available in the nature, they are available in a particular geographical area or country. So that every country can be developed by using the natural resources only. So continuous growth rate is possible by consuming, especially here, effective and efficiency. Effectively and efficiently, the country has to use and consume these natural resources. So without resources, we cannot expect any country's economic growth and development, because we might have already studied what is the meaning of national income. So the total value of all the final goods and services produced in a country in a year, or a period of, in an accounting year. So all the resources must be available in the country, and those resources have to be transformed into the some goods and services. Otherwise, we cannot develop the country, because the resource-rich countries like Africa and Latin America, still they are underdeveloped countries. Why? What I am telling here, only the possession of natural resources cannot make, cannot develop any country without transformation. That means the resources have to be transformed into some goods and services. That is the final goods of the total value of all the final goods and services produced in a country or in a given period of time, or usually in an accounting year, that is called national income. You know what is the GNP and what is the GDP also. The major difference between GNP and GDP is just net factor income from abroad, NFIA. So here we take into consideration GDP. The growth rate is possible for all the countries. The economic growth is possible for all the countries only with the available natural resources. Without resources, we cannot do anything. But the sustained rise in economic growth is very important. The sustained rise in economic growth, continuous rise in economic growth is very important for every country's development, because without natural resources, we cannot prepare any commodity. Whatever commodity it is, it doesn't matter in this case. The goods and services, especially goods, physical goods, which we are using in our daily survival, all such goods have to be made up of only natural resources. So without natural resources, we cannot prepare any commodity. These natural resources have to be transformed effectively and efficiently. That is very important. But the thing is, this definition of economic growth is criticized by many economists, because the only thing is, with the population growth, the rate of population is more than the rate of national income, then we cannot measure accurately what is the growth rate of economy. If population increases by 2% and the growth rate is increased by only 1%, we cannot accurately measure the economic growth rate. it is impossible. Then automatically economic growth rate will come down. Or else, if population growth rate is less than economic growth rate, then also we cannot accurately measure, then economic growth will increase. So in these two cases, the sustained increase in economic growth rate for any country's development is simply criticized by many economists. You please note down the definition of economics now. Sorry, definition of economic growth. Are you writing, please? Shall I go ahead? Learners, shall I go ahead?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, please note down. Economic growth is defined as a
Mhm.
economics growth is defined as a sustained annual increase. Economic growth is defined as a sustained annual it is no, as a sustained annual increase in an economy in an economy in an
Mhm.
economy's apostrophe SMR.
Okay.
Yeah, economic growth is defined as a sustained annual increase
Increase.
in an economy's real national income. Real national income over a long period of time. Over,
Long.
yeah, in an economy's real national income over a long period of time. Full stop and continue. In other words, economic growth means economic growth means in other words, economic growth means rising trend of at rising trend of net national product. Rising trend of net national product at constant prices. At constant prices. Okay, now?
Hmm.
Yeah. So here actually, you know, how do we measure this GNP and GDP? There are two types of the measuring ways, that is nominal GDP and real GDP. What is nominal GDP and what is real GDP? Nominal GDP measured at current year prices.
Hmm.
Real GDP measured at base
Constant.
year prices. That means current year output into base year price, that is constant price. Current year output into base year price or constant year price is simply known as real GDP. current year output into current year price. That is nominal GDP. So we always take into consideration real GDP because nominal GDP may be increased just due to the increase in prices of the commodity without increase in the output. If there is an rise in price of the commodity, then automatically real GDP, nominal GDP would be increased. So this is not the criteria for the development. If really output increases, at old prices, constant prices, then it would be the real GDP. So we always take into consideration real GDP, not nominal. So current year if the current year output is multiplied by current year prices. So for example, this year output 100 units, price per unit, say for example 10, 100 into 10, 1000. That is the nominal GDP. No, it is not correct. Because last year also 100 units of output was there. Before last year also 100 units of output was there. There is no change in output. But if output changes, instead of 100, so for example, output changes from 100 to 200 units. 200 units into old price, say for example 10 rupees. Then it is called 2000. That is really exact GDP. That is simply called as real GDP. So current year output, if the current year output is multiplied by current year prices, that is nominal GDP. Current year output is multiplied by base year prices or constant prices, that is simply called as nominal GDP. So here the thing is the second, if you observe that definition, in other words, I have already explained, the economic growth means rising trend of net national product at constant prices. That is economic growth. But actually, what I said just now, this definition is severely criticized by many economists because of some unsatisfactory is that. What is that unsatisfactory? I already told you. Simply, when the population is increasing faster than the national income. So, for example, national income is increasing by 1%, population is increasing by 2%, then automatically what happened? The standard of living of the people will tend to fall. So, for example, family income 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees per annum, let us assume. That is not correct actually. The family income 1 lakh rupees per annum. If 2 people are there in the family, okay, it's okay. It would be enough. If 3 people are there, if 4 people are there, then automatically there is no chance to improve and increase this income of the family because of increase in family. If your income increases from 1 lakh to 1 lakh 10,000 or 1 lakh 20,000, when 2 people are there, when you earn 1 lakh rupees, each one can consume, each one can spend 50,000 rupees. When 3 people are there, now you can spend this amount nearly 33,000 rupees. But your income increases from 1 lakh to 1 lakh 10,000. But because of one more family member in your family, one more extra member in your family, now your spending level can come down from 50,000 rupees to 33,000 rupees. What happens here? Your family annual income growth rate is less than the total number of families. So that automatically what happens here in the development of economics and growth of economics also, the population growth is more faster or simply faster. If the population growth rate is faster than national income, then automatically the standard of living of the people will come down, will tend to fall down. That is one point. Criticism actually. And another point is of course, the per capita income will rise when the national income increases faster than the population. Per capita income will rise when the national income increases faster than the population. This is another way. The population growth is less than national income growth rate, then automatically the standard of living of the people will increase. So that the better way of definition of economic growth, what is that? Simply in terms of per capita income. But of course, economic growth means annual increase in real per capita income of a country. Annual growth, economic growth rate means the annual increase in real per capita income of a country over a long period. Is it clear? Did you write? Okay, Amma? Are you writing? Hello? Are you there? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, please. Now, there are some important the basic concepts in this first unit. Please note down. Growth and change. Growth and change. Annual average growth rate and CAGR, compound annual growth rates are there. What is growth and what is the growth and change? Please note down. Actually, it is given in our material also. X1 minus X0 by X0 is equal to delta X by X0. X1 minus X0 by X0 is equal to delta X by X0. Here X0 and X1. Here X is it is an economic variable. Yeah, someone has raised the hand. Please tell me. Rakesh.
No, sir. Unexpectedly.
Sorry, Andy.
Unexpectedly twisted, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Here, what is X0? It is there in our material. Just write down and go through the material later after this. After this class. So X0 is initial value and X1 is the subsequent value. Now the proportional change in reaching X1 from X0. X1 from X0. The formula is X1 minus X0 by X0 is equal to delta X by X0. X1 minus X0 delta X, the change in X. So for example, the measure of growth as the growth rate, the proportional change is multiplied by 100. So delta X by X0. So X is itself in percentage only, it then becomes very tricky. So if just see, if unemployment decreases from 15% to 12%, if you say simply there is a reduction of 3%, because it is very clear unemployment decreases from 15% to 12%. So how much reduction is there? Just 3%. No, that is not correct. So it is a reduction of 3% in just in percentage points. But according to the formula, what is the formula I have given right now? X1 minus X0 by X0. What is X1? X1 is 15%. What is X2? Sorry, X0. X0 is 12. Then, wait, sorry. X1 minus X0 by X0. That is the original formula actually. Please take the X1 value. X1 is the initial value.
I think it is 50, sir.
Wait. I am telling. First, write down formula X1 by X1 minus X0 by X0. Write down that. X1 minus X0 by X0 is equal to delta X by X. Now take X0 is the initial value. X1 is subsequent value. X0 initial, X1 subsequent. Here X1 minus X0, that is subsequent value minus initial value. That is 15 minus 12 by 15, because X0 is 15 here, into 100, because it has to be multiplied by 100. That is 3 by 15. That is 5 into 100. 3 by 15 into 100. That equals to 20%. Now we have the values for the base year and the terminal year in their absolute numbers, not in percentage. So this is an example growth and change. Of course, there is a formula for this, the change in growth rate, that is X1 minus X0 by X0 is equal to delta X by X0. Delta X is change in X. This X0 is the initial value. Now, what are the sources of economic growth? Please note down. There are three major sources of economic growth. Three major sources of economic growth. First one, investment in physical and human capital. Investment in physical and human capital. Technological advances. Technological advances. And third one, institutional and policy changes. Institutional and policy changes. So here we have some important points, the factors which can affect and influence or determine the pace of economic growth. So economic growth can be determined based on the following factors. Please note down those factors. Capital formation, capital output ratio, operational structure, technological progress. Capital formation, capital output ratio, operational structure, technological progress. There are four major factors which can influence the pace of economic growth. Now here, what is the meaning of capital formation? Of course, to produce any product, any commodity, we require four important factors of production, that is land, labor, capital and organization. These four are the factors, services which we can use in the production of any commodity. So without these four factors of production, we cannot produce even a single commodity also. Whatever it is, all kinds of goods can be prepared with the help of these four factors of production: land, labor, capital and organization. Of course, if you have an idea regarding the business, we require 5 M's: man, machine, material, money and method. Man, machine, material, money and method. These 5 are very important to do any kind of business. As a part of this, the formation of capital is very important, like machinery, some other equipments and tools. These are all very important for any kind of business to produce the goods and services. So here, more capital means if we have more machines, more capital, more income, definitely there would be a more production. If more production is there, then what will happen? Definitely there would be a more growth, because we already discussed the standard of the living of the people has to be increased. It is possible only with the help of production. The more production is possible only with the help of more capital. If we have more capital, we can produce more goods. More production leads to more growth. So, because if we produce more goods, our production increases, employment also would be increased. When there is an increase in employment, the people will have employability, the people will earn more money, then automatically the life standard would be increased. If the people's life standard increases, the growth of the economy also would be increased, because finally, if the people have more purchasing power, if they earn more income, they would spend more on purchase of goods and services. If they spend more on purchase of goods and services, the business organizations would produce more goods and services, because there would be a more demand for goods and services. It is all interlinking system, simply say. So finally, more capital leads to more production leads to more growth. So economic growth depends on capital formation, but of course, this capital formation maybe finally depends on simply savings capacity of the people. If savings are more, The higher the savings rate, higher would be the capital. Because finally, the investment can be come from savings only. If we save more, investment would be more, then capital would be more, then automatic production would increase, then finally growth will increase. This is the process. So the capital accrues and accumulates by investment. Just now I have explained. If investment increases, automatically capital would be increased. If we have more investment, if we have more earnings, then automatically your propensity to save also would be increased. There is a MPS formula, marginal propensity to save. If income increases, automatically savings, the propensity of the saving, marginal propensity to save, MPS formula and MPS marginal propensity to consume might have already been taught in the preceding classes. I mean, when you study graduation. So, if you earn more income, your saving would be more. If savings are more, investment would be more. If investment is more, capital would be more. If capital increases, more production leads to more growth rate in the economy. So the capital accrues and accumulates by investment. The level of investment is a major determinant of future growth. Please remember this point. The level of investment is a major determinant. It is a determinant factor of future growth. The future growth of an economy simply depends on the level of employment. Higher the level of employment, higher would be the capital. Lower the level of investment, lower would be the capital. So there is a relation between investment and capital. Higher the investment, higher would be the capital. Lower the investment, lower would be the capital. So capital formation is a major determinant of future growth of an economy. Of course, the capital formation is a very what we call the crucial importance in the process of economic growth, because I already told you the capital formation, simply the large capital of stock of machines, very important. The tools and equipment is very important. If we have the large capital stock of machines, tools and other equipments, if more tools and more equipment, more machines are accumulated over a period of time, then capital formation is very easy. The capital formation also requires not only machines, not only tools, not only other equipments. The capital formation also requires the skilled workforce. Just now, at the beginning of this class, I have explained the efficient and effective use of resources are very important. We have machines, we have equipment, we have other fixtures also, but we don't have a skilled labor, skilled manpower and workforce. Then there is no use of all this capital formation. Only machines cannot work. The machines can be operated by human beings. That means skilled labor, not human beings, skilled labor. All are human beings. But somebody has an experience and somebody is expertise in operating a separate machine. So for example, right now artificial intelligence plays an important role in the entire world. Now people are moving towards the development there, towards increasing their knowledge and gaining knowledge in this particular artificial intelligence, the subject, because it is very important in the future days. There is no doubt in it. The skilled labor is very important. All of may not have experience and expertise in operating artificial intelligence. So some people, those who are very enthusiastic to learn the subject, those who are very enthusiastic to develop their knowledge in specific domains, they only can be treated as skilled laborers and skilled workforce and manpower. So here also the capital formation also requires skilled laborer, skilled workforce. The skill formation is education. The skill formation by education and training. Education and training. So that the government is also spending crores of rupees on skill development program. Every human being will not become a skilled person without a proper training and education. If they have the proper training, if they would be given proper training and education, then definitely there would be more specialized person in a specific domain in which they are interested. So without education and training, it is not possible. So this is simply capital formation and then capital output ratio, which is one of the major determinants of economic growth. Capital formation is completed. Now capital output ratio. Here the meaning of capital output ratio, what? The capital output ratio simply refers to the number of units of capital required to produce 1 unit of output. The number of capital units, how many units of capital we require to produce 1 unit of a particular X commodity or output. That is capital output ratio. Say for example, to produce 1 unit of X commodity, if we require 2 units of capital, that is capital output ratio. But of course, whether it is the capital intensive or labor intensive, it depends on the country's the condition, economic condition, and also country's natural resources position also. Every country every country must use its own natural resources in the production process. Then it has to decide which method is suitable for them. For developing countries and more populous countries like India, we have to adopt the labor intensive method instead of capital intensive method. Labor intensive method means we have to give more preference to humans. We have to give more preference to laborers, manpower instead of capital and machines, because we have excellent manpower in India. Instead of manpower, if we try to adopt capital intensive method, it would not be beneficial to India, because we cannot provide employment for our population in India if we adopt more capital intensive method. But the developed countries like UK or USA, these countries have to adopt this capital intensive method instead of labor intensive method, because in those countries their population is very less. So that instead of adopting this capital labor intensive method, if they adopt capital intensive method, that would be very beneficial for them. But now the point is here, for the simplicity, for the sake of simple understanding, we are taking into consideration only capital output ratio. It might be labor output ratio also we can take, but here the development of economy or growth of economy depends on capital output ratio. The capital output ratio in this context, what is the meaning, exact meaning of capital output ratio? How many units of capital we are using to produce 1 unit of output? That is capital output ratio. Is it clear, Amma? You understand? Hello? Am I audible, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Right. So here the capital output ratio, the capital, hey, enter it. The capital output ratio refers the capital output ratio reflects the productivity of capital in various sectors of an economy. The capital output ratio reflects the productivity of capital. That means how many units or how much production would be there by using capital in various sectors of an economy. It is not only one sector, primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. In all these three sectors, primary sector, that is agriculture and allied sectors, and after that, the secondary sector, industry, and tertiary sector, services sector. So, the capital output ratio reflects the productivity of capital. By using capital, how much productivity is there in various sectors of economy. That means how much productivity is there with the help of this capital in primary sector, sorry, in primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. But this is especially at a particular point of time. The capital output ratio reflects the productivity of capital in various sectors of the economy at a particular point of time. Okay, Nama? Just a minute, please be online. Manchiga padra asta? Manchiga.
Hello, Dr. Srinivasrao garu.
Yeah, sir, please.
అయిపోయింది క్లాస్.
No, sir. I'm continuing.
Okay, it continuing. Okay.
Yeah. I told them to just be online. I'm, just drinking water.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Okay, Amma. Now, so the capital output ratio finally depends upon the efficiency. Efficiency is very important. Let me exemplify what is efficiency here. Say, for example, you have two machines and two workers, skilled laborers. Say, for example, machine A and machine B, two laborers, person A and person B. Person A is familiar in operating machine A, person B familiar with operating machine B. If we interest the work like that, that is also simply called a division of labor actually. If we interest the work like that, if we interest machine A to the person machine to the person A and machine B to the person B, definitely they can produce more output because those two persons are familiar and expertise in operating those two machines respectively A and B. But instead of interesting the work like that, if it is reverse, person A operates machine B in which he is not expertise, and person B is operating machine A in which he is not expertise, they cannot produce more output. Let us assume in a previous example when they operate A and B respectively, person A, person B, they produce, for example, 1000 units per day. Two persons, two machines. In the second example, if person A operates machine B, person B operates machine A, they can produce only 500 units. In first example, we have same two persons, same two machines. In second example also we have same two persons, same two machines, but output is different. So that efficiency is very important. It is possible only with the help of skilled laborers. So simply capital output ratio depends upon the efficiency with which the new types of capital equipments are handled. What kind of capital equipments we are handling, what kind of capital equipments we have to produce the goods and services, so that the capital output ratio depends on various types and new types of capital equipments which we are adapting in the production process. Okay, Nama? That is simply the quality of manager and organizational skill is very sorry. The quality of managerial and organizational skill is very important. That's what I already told you. The managerial skill is very important. If a person is having excellent managerial skills in a particular technology, definitely can produce more output. But if he is not having the more the managerial skills in operating a specific machine or in handling a specific technology, he cannot produce more output. So finally, capital output ratio depends upon the efficiency of the new types of capital equipments are handled, which we are handling. That is very important. So here, the rate of growth of GDP is equal to investment to income ratio, IIR, investment to income ratio by capital output ratio. Investment to income ratio by capital output ratio. Then occupational structure, the third major determinant of economic growth. Occupational structure, that is very important in every economics development and every economy's growth. So here the occupational structure also plays an important role and a pivotal role in the growth of every economy The occupational structure of the working population is very important point. Occupational structure of the working population. So for example, experience from all over the world, it suggests that in the process of growth, the transfer of workforce from primary to secondary and then secondary to tertiary sector of economy is very important. It has an invariably that taken place. You know, still in India, more than 60 to 70% people depend on agriculture sector. This occupational structure has to be changed in order to the growth of the economy, in order to the development of the economy. The people, those who are depending on agriculture sector, the people, those who are depending on industrial sector, the people, those who are depending on tertiary sector, it's play an important role. The occupational structure of the working population is very important. If there is a transformation from agriculture sector to secondary sector and secondary sector to tertiary sector, then definitely we can expect more growth and development. That occupational structure also play an important role. Of course, there are some examples which are given in your material. Please go through that regarding the occupational structure of workforce which are engaged in agriculture sector in USA. It is declined from 54% to 23%. There was a drastic change. There was a drastic change in 1870 and 1930. The proportion of workforce engaged in agriculture sector in USA declined from 54 to 23%. In 1870, the workforce which were engaged in agriculture sector 54%, and later in 1930 the occupational structure changed. That means the working population, occupational structure of the working population is declined in agriculture sector from 54% to 23% in the year 1870 and 1930 respectively. So it was a drastic change. So it was simply a parameter. It is a significant change for the development and growth of economy. Occupational structure has changed here. Based on this, we can understand how the economy is growing, especially here in USA. It is applicable to every country, not only USA. And also in France, the occupational structure has changed. That is from 43% to 25%. And in Japan from 80 to 48%. So this is all from agriculture sector to industrial sector, secondary sector. But of course, the movement of growth picks up. There is an optimum distribution of the workforce in different occupations, not only tertiary, not only secondary, or not only primary sector. In all the sectors, we require the optimum distribution of the workforce. If the workforce is totally transferred from agriculture sector to industrial sector, then automatically the development of agriculture sector will come down. The agriculture sector development will go down immediately. So it is not correct. The primary sector also has to be developed. The primary sector means not only agriculture, and it's allied like poultry. Even cattle also primary sector, mining also primary sector. So the workforce has to be divided in an optimum way in all the three sectors. That is very important point. Now, technical progress. It is another important major determinant of economic growth. Technical progress. Fourth one. Of course, you know the symbolical expression of production function. Q is equal to F of K, L, N, O and T. Technology. Actually, the output depends on land, labor, capital, organization. These four are factor services. The factor services are not available in the nature at free of cost. We have to put a price tag. We have to pay some remuneration for these factor inputs. Of course, the rent goes to land, wage goes to labor, interest goes to capital, and organization is very important for the production process. So profit goes to organization. But not only the land, labor, capital, and organization. The technology is also very important. Nowadays, with the help of technology, especially the adoption of sophisticated technology is very important in the economic development. If we observe the recent developments, the entire world economy, I'm not talking about India, I'm not talking about any particular country. Just now I have already quoted that, example like artificial intelligence. It's a very good sophisticated technology right now. Now every country is adopting this artificial technology. In the coming near future, the artificial intelligence play an important role in place of manpower and humans. If we use this artificial intelligence, definitely we can